The last photo of my dog was taken. After he died, I never should have checked my phone. My fingers trembled as I swiped through the gallery, my breath coming in short gasps. The last picture, the one I didn't take. Max was in it. He lay lifeless. The dirt, eyes open but empty. His fur was matted with blood, too much blood. The timestamp was from last night, long after he was gone. My throat tightened. A cold weight settled in my stomach. That photo shouldn't exist. A notification popped up at the top of my screen. A message. You buried him in the wrong place. I dropped the phone. My heart pounded so hard I could barely hear anything over. The rush of blood in my ears. The room around me seemed to close in, shadows stretching unnaturally against the walls. The silence was too heavy, too unnatural. Then scratching. A faint, deliberate sound from outside, from the backyard, right where I had buried Max. I turned, barely able to move. The window overlooked the patch of disturbed soil. I had covered him, carefully, made sure the dirt was packed tight. But now it was loose, now it was moving, and then from the darkness I saw them. Eyes, not Max's. Something else. Watching. Waiting. Then my phone buzzed again. One last message. He wasn't. Yours to bury. Max was my shadow. For 8 years, he followed me everywhere. Through the apartment, on evening walks, even to the bathroom when he thought I needed protection from the shower. He wasn't just a dog. He was family. And then, just like that, he was gone. It happened 2 nights ago. A hit and run right outside my house. I didn't see the car. Just heard the sickening thud, the screech of tires, and then silence. My heart stopped. I sprinted outside, my bare feet scraping against the pavement. Max lay on the side of the road, motionless. The streetlights flickered overhead, casting long shadows across his golden fur. I dropped to my knees. His chest rose once, twice, then stopped. Max? My voice cracked. I pressed my shaking hands against his ribs, searching for any sign of life. His body was still warm, but his eyes were empty. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember anything except the deafening ringing in my ears as I scooped him into my arms and drove straight to the emergency vet. They took him from me, disappearing behind cold, sterile doors. I sat in the waiting room, hands still sticky with his blood, staring at the linoleum floor. 15 minutes later, the vet came back, his face carefully neutral. I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do. I think I nodded. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. The vet asked if I wanted them to handle the remains. I shook my head. I couldn't just leave him there like another case to be processed. So I brought him home. I buried Max in the backyard under the old oak tree, the place where he always lay on lazy afternoons, watching squirrels and soaking up the sun. I dug, deep, making sure no stray animal would disturb him. The ground was damp from the rain earlier that week, making the soil heavy and dark. By the time I finished, my arms ached. I pressed my forehead against the mound of dirt, whispering, I'm sorry. I thought that would be the end of it. I thought wrong. The first sign. The next morning I woke up with an ache behind my eyes, the kind that comes from crying yourself to sleep. The house was silent, too silent. I swung my legs over the bed and froze. My bedroom door was open. I never leave it open at night. A cold sensation crawled up my spine. I told myself I must have forgotten to close it. Grief does things to the mind. But when I reached for Max's collar, the one the vet gave back to me, it was gone. I had placed it on my nightstand before bed. I was sure of it. Panic bubbled in my chest as I searched the room. Did I move it? Had I knocked it over in my sleep? I found it 10 minutes later in the hallway, lying on the floor like someone had dropped it there. Maybe I had carried it absent-mindedly while half asleep. That had to be it. That evening, as I walked past the backyard window, my breath caught in my throat, the dirt where I had buried Max. It was disturbed. At first I thought it was just my imagination, but no. The ground was uneven, small ridges. In the soil like something had been digging. My stomach turned. Maybe a stray animal had sniffed him out. Maybe I hadn't buried him deep enough. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, the air thick with the scent of damp earth. The oak tree loomed overhead, its branches stretching like skeletal fingers against the night sky. I stood over Max's grave. The soil was loose. I knelt down, hesitating before brushing my fingers over the dirt. The surface was rough, disrupted, but no signs of paw prints. No signs of any animal at all. Just disturbed. Earth, I swallowed hard, shaking my head. You're being paranoid. Still, I went inside and locked every door, just in case. The second sign, the next night, it happened again. I had just dozed off when a sound pulled me from sleep. Scratching. Faint. Deliberate. It was coming from outside. Sat up, my pulse hammering in my throat. I strained to hear. Was it the wind? A raccoon? Then, another scratch. Longer this time. It was coming from the backyard. From the oak tree. I grabbed my phone and without thinking snapped a photo through you. The window, the flash illuminated the darkness for a split second. And that's when I saw them, eyes not Max's, something else. Watching, waiting, and then, just as quickly as they appeared, they vanished. I didn't sleep that night. I sat up in bed, staring, the backyard window, waiting for those eyes to return. But they never did. By morning, exhaustion weighed heavy on me, but something else pressed even harder. Unease. The kind that doesn't let you breathe right. Something was wrong. The security. Footage. I decided to check the security camera I had installed on my front porch last year. It wasn't positioned toward the backyard, but maybe, just maybe, it had caught something. I pulled up the footage on my phone, fast-forwarding through the hours of the night. Nothing. The porch was empty. No movement, no animals, no headlights from passing cars. But then, at 2:37 a.m. something changed. The streetlight in front of my house flickered twice. And then, the camera glitched. The footage jumped, just for a second. A single frozen frame before the feed resumed as if nothing had happened. I rewound and paused the glitched frame. My breath caught in my throat. There, standing in the street, half hidden in the shadows, was a figure. Tall, motionless, facing my house. But that wasn't the worst part. Something was at its feet, something low to the ground, on all fours. I zoomed in, but the image was grainy, distorted. The only thing I could make out was the shape of a dog. The scratches. I slammed my laptop shut and stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. I needed air. I stepped outside onto the porch. The early morning light cast long shadows across the yard, making the oak tree look taller than usual. The disturbed earth over Max's grave still bothered me. But then, as I turned toward my front door, my heart stopped. There were scratches on the wood, thin, jagged lines, deep enough to peel away the paint. Some were clustered together like claw marks. I pressed my fingers against them. Fresh. My stomach twisted. I wasn't imagining this. Someone or something had been here. Max's collar. And the smell that night. I locked every door and window. Wanted to convince myself I was being paranoid. That grief was playing tricks on me. But deep down, I knew better. I curled up in bed, hugging Max's collar to my chest. The leather was worn, the metal tag cool against my palm. The last real piece of him I had left. I must have drifted off at some point because I woke up gasping, heart hammering, skin damp with sweat. The air in my room was wrong, heavy, thick, rotten, like something had died in the walls. I sat up, gagging. My stomach churned as I covered my nose, scanning the room. And that's when I saw it, Max's collar. Not on my nightstand where I had left it. It was on the floor. No, not just on the floor, in the middle of my room, as if someone had placed it there or dropped it. I scrambled out of bed, my skin crawling. I locked my doors. I locked my damn doors. So how did it move? I wasn't staying in that room another second. I grabbed my phone and ran out, barely stopping to grab my keys before bolting for the front door. The second I stepped outside, The cold air slapped me awake. I stood on my porch, gasping for breath, my head spinning. But then I noticed something even worse. The scratches on the door. There were more now. The neighbor's warning. I didn't know where I was driving. I just needed to get away. My hands were shaking as I gripped the wheel, knuckles white. My heart wouldn't slow down. Eventually, I found myself parked in front of Mrs. Callahan's house. She had lived next door to me for 20 years, an old widow with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. If anyone had seen something strange, it would be her. I knocked on her door. She opened it almost immediately, her face tight, her eyes scanning my expression. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she muttered. I swallowed. Did you see anything last night? Anyone outside?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she glanced past me toward my house, a long, knowing look. Then finally, she sighed. "I was hoping you wouldn't start noticing," she said. My stomach dropped. "What does that mean?" She didn't speak for a moment, just gestured for me to come inside. The living room smelled like lavender and old books. She settled into her chair, fingers twisting the edge of her sweater. "There's something wrong with that yard of yours," she finally said. I stiffened. She looked up at me, her gaze sharp. "You're not the first one to lose a dog there. You know?" I felt cold all over. "What?" She nodded. "Before you moved in, the family that lived there had a German Shepherd. Big boy. Name was Cooper. Friendly thing. But one day, he started acting strange. Wouldn't go near the tree in the backyard. Started growling at nothing. Then one night he ran straight into the road. Just like your Max." My hands clenched into fists. I hadn't told her how Max died. "How did you—" "I've lived here long enough," she interrupted. "And I've seen enough to know." I could barely process what she was saying. My ears were ringing. "It's that tree," she murmured. "It doesn't let them rest." The words made my skin crawl. "Doesn't let them rest?" I echoed. She hesitated, then sighed. "You buried him there, didn't you?" I nodded slowly. She pressed her lips into a thin line. "Then I'm afraid Max isn't done with you yet." The air felt thick. I struggled to breathe. And then, her voice dropped to a whisper. "If I were you, I'd dig him back up." The twist, a false victory. I stared at Mrs. Callahan, my breath shallow. She couldn't be serious. Dig Max back up? The thought made my stomach churn. I had already buried him once. The idea of disturbing his grave felt wrong, but her words wouldn't. "Leave me? It doesn't let them rest." That night, I couldn't sit still. I paced the house, staring out the window every few minutes, expecting to see something watching me. By 2 a.m., I made my decision. I grabbed a flashlight, a shovel, and stepped outside. The cold bit into my skin, but I barely noticed. The backyard was eerily silent. No rustling leaves, no chirping insects. Just emptiness. I hesitated for a second before forcing myself forward. I reached the disturbed mound of dirt and jammed the shovel into the ground. I dug and dug and dug until the shovel hit something solid. My pulse thundered. I dropped to my knees, scooping away the loose earth with trembling hands. And then, my fingers brushed against fur. My heart nearly stopped. I wiped away more dirt, revealing Max's body. He was still there, still lifeless. But something felt off. The fur on his back looked too clean, like he had just been brushed, and then a low growl rumbled from the trees behind me. I froze. Slowly, I turned my head. My flashlight flickered, casting long shadows. I squinted into the darkness. My breath caught in my throat. That's when I saw it. 2 glowing eyes, watching me, and they were the same shade of amber as Max's. I staggered back, heart pounding. Max!" The eyes didn't blink. I scrambled. To my feet, my legs weak beneath me. The flashlight flickered again, and for the briefest moment I saw a shape. Low to the ground. Canine. But wrong. Max. But not Max. I opened my mouth to scream, to call his name, to do something, but then a sharp buzzing sound erupted from my phone. I jolted. My shaking hands fumbled to pull it from my pocket. The screen was bright in the dark. A single new message appearing at the top. A message from an unknown number. I swallowed hard and tapped it open. The text was only 4 words long. "That's not your dog." The breath rushed from my lungs. I looked back up, toward the tree line. But the eyes were gone, and the night was silent again. My hands trembled as I stared at the message. "That's not your dog." I swallowed hard, my breath coming in short gasps. The air around me felt thick, suffocating. The flashlight flickered. Then it went out. I was plunged into darkness. A rustling sound came from the trees. Leaves shifting. A soft, almost human-like exhale. I turned my head toward the sound, my body frozen in place. Something was moving out there. Then another sound. Low, steady panting. Like a dog. Like Max. My heart hammered. No, this wasn't real. I had buried Max. I had just seen his body. He was dead. A shuffling noise right behind me. I spun around. Too slow. A sharp claw scraped my arm. I yelped, stumbling backward, dropping my phone. It landed in the dirt, screen up, casting an eerie glow, and in that dim light, I saw it, a shape. A dog. No, something that looked like a dog. Its fur was the same shade as Max's, but its mouth was wrong. The jaw hung slightly open, too wide, like it had been unhinged. Its tongue lolled out, dark and too long, and its eyes, those amber eyes, stared straight at me. My chest tightened. My legs locked. Then, it stepped closer. I scrambled for my phone, swiping it off the ground. The second my fingers touched it, the screen lit up again. Another message. "Run." I didn't think. I didn't breathe. I ran. I sprinted toward the house, my feet slipping in the dirt, lungs burning. Behind me, I heard the sound of paws pounding the earth, but they weren't normal. They were heavy, wrong, too fast. The back door came into view. I lunged forward, grabbing the handle. Locked. "No, no, no." I fumbled for my keys, but my hands were shaking too hard. The sound of snarling right behind me. I turned, but nothing was there. The yard was empty, silent. Even the trees had stopped, moving. I let out a shuddering breath, my fingers still clutched around the doorknob. My body was drenched in cold sweat. I reached for my phone again, heart hammering in my chest. Another message appeared. This time, just one word: inside. The doorknob twisted beneath my hand, and then the door opened from the other side. The door creaked open. I stumbled backward, expecting, what? A person? A monster? Max? But the hallway was empty. Dark. Still. Could hear my own breath, sharp and uneven. My pulse pounded against my skull. Every instinct screamed at me to run. Instead, I stepped inside. The second my foot crossed the threshold, the door slammed shut behind me. I spun around, grabbing for the knob, locked. Something was wrong with the house. The air was stale, thick with an odor I couldn't place. My living room sat in eerie stillness, the furniture casting long shadows in the dim light. But something felt different. I had lived here for years. I knew every creaky floorboard, every corner. But standing there, I felt like a stranger in my own home. My phone buzzed in my pocket. With a shaking hand, I pulled it out. Another text message. "Look at the photos." My stomach clenched. I swiped open my gallery. My fingers hovered over the last picture I had taken, of Max after he died. My heart pounded as I tapped it. The image filled the screen, Max, lying still, his fur matted with dirt, his eyes closed. But something was off. I zoomed in. My breath caught in my throat. His paws were clean. I had buried him with dirt on his fur. He should have been covered in it. But now, it was like someone had washed him. Chill ran down my spine. Had someone dug him up before me? I quickly scrolled through my gallery, my hands clammy. But then I saw a photo I didn't remember taking. My fingers trembled as I tapped it. The image opened, and I stopped breathing. It was me, asleep in my bed. my blanket half pulled down, my arms stretched over the mattress, my face turned toward the camera, completely unaware. The timestamp said last night. I hadn't taken this. A cold wave of fear crashed over me. My skin crawled. I forced myself to look closer, searching the edges of the photo, looking for clues. And that's when I saw it in the corner of the room, a shape, low to the ground, amber eyes glowing in the dark, staring at me. My stomach twisted. My fingers tightened around the phone. I tried to swallow, but my throat was dry. I scrolled again. Another photo. Another. Dozens of them. Taken on different nights. All of them of me asleep, and in every single one Max was in the corner, watching. But the last picture, it wasn't of me. It wasn't even inside the house. It was outside, taken in the backyard. A fresh mound of dirt. A body, but it wasn't Max's, it was mine. My breath hitched. My fingers shook as I stared at the photo. A fresh mound of dirt. A body, me. It didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. I was alive, standing here holding my phone, breathing, heart pounding in my chest. But the picture showed my face, my lifeless, pale face, my body half buried in the dirt, my arms sprawled out, like I had been dragged. I clamped a hand over my mouth, my stomach twisting. No. No. This had to be a trick, an illusion, a nightmare, something. Floorboard creaked behind me. I turned. Max was there, standing in the hallway, his head low, his amber eyes locked onto mine. But something was wrong. His fur was damp, clumped with soil. His paws, caked in dirt. His mouth hung slightly open, just like in the photo. And then, he moved his lips, not like a dog, like a person. His mouth formed words, and I swear, in a voice I almost recognized, he whispered, "You weren't supposed to come back." The lights flickered, and then everything went black. Darkness swallowed everything. The air turned thick, like I was sinking into something cold and heavy. My ears rang with silence, except for the faintest sound. Breathing, not mine. Someone or something was breathing beside me. I tried to move. My body wouldn't respond. I wasn't unconscious. I wasn't asleep. I was trapped. And then I heard it. A voice. Not human, not entirely, but familiar. "You shouldn't have come back." The words echoed around me, stretching the silence thin. I tried to speak, but my throat was dry, my tongue heavy. I forced myself to move. Just my fingers, then my arms. Slowly, the darkness peeled away. Light, a faint bluish glow. I was outside. The backyard. My head throbbed as I struggled to sit up, my palms pressing into cold, damp soil. I looked down. The ground beneath me was disturbed. Loose dirt, uneven patches, a hollowed-out space like something had been dug up. My stomach turned. The grave from the photo, but it was empty. A shiver ran through me. The wind was still. The world felt too quiet, like the earth was holding its breath. And then footsteps, slow, deliberate. I turned my head. Max stood at the edge of the trees. His fur was streaked with dirt. His amber eyes reflected the dim light. He didn't look like a pet anymore. He looked like something else, something ancient, something that had been waiting. His mouth parted slightly, not in a snarl, not in a growl, in recognition. "You see it? Now don't you?" The voice didn't come from him. It came from everywhere, from the ground, the trees, the air itself. I clutched my head, trying to breathe, trying to understand. The pictures, the grave, the whispers, the way the house felt wrong, the way Max had been watching me. The realization hit like a crash. I hadn't buried him. I had buried myself. Memories snapped into place, scattered fragments rushing back. That night, Max had tried to warn me. Something had been in the house, something I couldn't see, something that had been waiting for me to fall asleep. And when I did, I didn't wake up. Not really. I wasn't supposed to come back. A sharp gust of wind whipped through the trees, and in that moment I knew. I wasn't standing in my backyard. Not anymore. I was standing in the place between life and whatever came after. I looked at Max. He wasn't just my dog anymore. He had always been more, a guide, a guardian, and now a keeper. I took a step forward. Max didn't move. He just watched. Waiting. One last test, one last choice. Stay in the past or move on. I reached out, slowly, carefully. Max stepped closer, and as his nose touched my palm, the world faded, into light, into silence, into peace. Final reflection. When they found my house days later, they said it looked untouched. No signs of a break-in. No forced entry. Only one thing was strange. Max was missing. No one ever found him. Some say dogs never truly leave us. Some say they guide us home. And sometimes, they wait for us at the end of the road. Watching. Waiting. For the moment we finally see the truth. The last photo of my dog was taken after he died, or maybe after I did. The end.